I want to begin by saying Alafia. When I say Alafia, this is a Yoruba greeting where I'm asking that you have good health and be at peace with your neighbor. I always ask people to take a moment to see if you can feel what life would be like if you had good health on every level and were truly at peace with our neighbors. So just take a moment and breathe and see if you can feel that. I want to talk to you today about the power of storytelling and how storytelling can bring us out of all kinds of moods, how storytelling can teach us a lot about living and really, really lift our spirits. In this time when we are asked to shelter in place, quarantine, and feel like maybe we're in jail, a lot of the tensions that would ordinarily be dissipated by separation are magnified. They're really magnified. And so I'm finding people are angry with each other, aggravated. People are depressed. Young people are fighting with their elders, and spouses are fighting with each other, and a general feeling of malaise may be hanging over some of us. Now, storytelling is a wonderful way to share what's going on with you. And, my personal story has to do with 1975, I believe it was. There was so much going on in my life. My baby had died. My relationship had ended. I was a professional dancer and my body was under par. So my money was as funny as it could be. The landlady was getting ready to throw me out. It seemed that just about everything that could aggravate me was aggravating me. And instead of understanding what was going on, one day I looked out the window and I decided that the wind was blowing the grass the wrong way just to mess with me. Can you imagine how crazy that sounds now? But that was the way that I perceived it at the time. And it really made me crazy for a while. During that time, I came to realize that the easiest way for me to get my point across, not so much as a dancer, I was a choreographer with 30 people in company and costumes and all of that, but to become a storyteller. Because in storytelling, I could get the message across in a way that touched not just people's minds, but also their emotions. And I could get people involved in feeling what was going on. Recently, I have been doing a lot of couples counseling because spouses are at home getting on each other's nerves. Secrets that were kept when one or the other was away are now exposed. Parents are finding themselves having to be homeschooling when they feel they know nothing about it. And for those people, I say find some nice, entertaining things on television for your kids. Sit down and watch it with them and talk about what's going on there. I've also, for myself as a performer who's locked in, I often go on YouTube and find concerts that I would attend if I could, or that I would perform with if I could. And I perform with them in my living room. It's so funny. I'm dancing, honey. I am singing my heart out and that kind of stuff. But very, very importantly, for the spouses who are angry with each other, I got a little story for you. Perhaps you have heard the woodpecker pecking all over the place and wondered, why is he doing that? Well, one time, a long time ago, the woodpecker was visited by this strange feeling. He really couldn't identify it, but the feeling began to manifest when he looked at some of the other birds in the forest, and they all looked so good. They had these bright feathers, they had these beautiful songs, and they had these amazing mating dances that they did. And the woodpecker got it in his head that all this performance was going on because somebody was trying to attract his wife. He couldn't tell which one it was. Was it that blue one who sang so beautifully? Was it the multicolored one who loved to mock people? Was it the ones with the strong wings who could fly around displaying their ability? He didn't know who it was, but he knew that somebody was after his wife. And he came up with a solution to his problem. He picked a tree in the forest and he pecked and he pecked and he pecked until he created a hole. And he snatched up his wife and shoved her in that hole. And then he filled that hole up with the chips of wood that he had separated. Feeling really good about himself now, he flitted around the forest and he looked at the one with the blue plumes. And he hovered around the ones with the fancy dances. And even mocked the ones with the beautiful songs, because none of them, no matter how pretty they were, how good they could dance, or how much music they could make, none of them could get to his wife because he had her inside the trunk. Well, this dissipated his feeling that he was somehow threatened. And after a while, he decided that he was lonely, that he really needed his wife's company. And so he went back to the big tree and he whoa. And there was a big hole in the tree, but his wife wasn't in there. He thought, well, maybe since I flew around so much, maybe I got the wrong tree. And so he went to another tree and he but she wasn't there. And he chose another one, and another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. And you know, he's still running around trying to find her. That's what he's doing when you hear him. But here's the problem. Old Mr. Woodpecker forgot that his wife was a woodpecker too. So as soon as he closed her in, she went up the trunk a little bit and she pecked her way out of that tree. And I don't know for sure, but rumor has it that she flew away with the one that had the pretty blue feathers, who also had a wonderful song, who performed a beautiful dance for her. So, you know, if the people you love are pecking at you, nagging you, making you feel confined when you can't get away from each other, just remember the woodpecker story, because later on, loneliness and jealousy might get the best of you. Oh, I love these stories, you know. I really do. And I really want to invite everybody to gather in the room, you know, where you are, and recall any stories like this that you may have in your possession, and also to take this opportunity to tell personal stories to help others in your environment understand how you feel. Most of the people who know me would not ever think that I was aggravated enough to look out the window and see that the wind was blowing the grass to the right when I wanted it to blow to the left. I really decided that the wind was blowing the grass the wrong way just to mess with me. What I've learned to do now is to run out onto the grass with bare feet and to turn around and twirl and dance with the wind and ask the wind to clean me of that feeling of anger and frustration. I let the wind whistle in my ear and I whistle along with it. And I let myself imagine that I can fly in that wind and fall to the ground laughing and relaxing, putting my hands on the earth and letting go of anything that gets in my way. Thank you for listening. Feel free to share this story of the woodpecker with people in your circle and count on your ability to create stories from your observations in nature, your observations of each other, and your own inner feeling. Storytelling is the art of medicine. It is the art of teaching history and bringing about understanding between people. Thank you for your time and your attention.
Fantastic. Wow.
You're so good, honey. Oh my gosh, I love you.
That was awesome.
Woo! The
So
woodpecker, bless
wonderful.
his heart.
You know, you
I love
you
it.
you have the best sound effects out of everybody.
Yeah, I've got good at that. When I was a choreographer, I had 30 dancers and 22 pieces of choreography and, costumes and lights and all of that. And
Yeah.
one day I realized that all of my choreography was based on folklore and I was always trying to tell these stories. And then it occurred to me that with just a little bit of practice, I could learn all the characters. I could do all the characters. And I ended up with just a basket of props and me traveling around. So at this point, I can do 9 distinct characters and feel very, very good about it. It's an economy of resources. I don't have to count on 30 people to show up at rehearsal with their shoes off and their costumes on. No, storytelling really liberated me from that.
Wow, that's beautiful. This is
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
And now, Claudio, I know that you've got conferences that you guys put on, and you have some spoken word artists. So I really want you to think about Teish when you do those.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
She is a consummate professional.
Absolutely.
We've got to go to another meeting, unfortunately, but I'm going to call you later to check in.
Okay,
Cassie,
baby.
can we do one? Can we do one thing?
And
can we do one
also,
thing really quick?
Oh yeah, got to do the thing.
Cassie, I'm sorry. One other thing. Could you do us a favor, Luisah, and look at the camera? And we'd love for you to say, "You are never alone."
Oh, yes. The
Yeah.
important thing about this story is that Woodpecker didn't realize he was in a forest full of other birds and there were many trees, and he needed to realize that, like you're never alone. He needed to know that he was not alone. Please remember, with storytelling, you can make that feeling real. You are never alone.